Hey everybody, welcome back to Matthew Kelly Pottery on YouTube. I hope you are having a great day today. Today we're going to talk about plates, and I know I have made two videos in the past about how to throw plates. The funny thing is that I actually don't make plates that way, at least not anymore. I used to make plates that exact way when I was throwing as a journeyman potter for some other potters, and when I started making my own plates, there was some design flaws I didn't like about that style of plate that I wanted to change. So we're going to talk about the style of plate that I make today. But first up, before we get into plates, right after this intro, we're going to talk about a little bit of inspiration because I had a really cool phone call the other day and I want to share it with you. So let's go. Alright everybody, I am super happy that you are here today, and we are going to talk about plates in just a minute, but first I wanted to share this quick story with you. Let's start here. I know you guys, most of you remember Otis. Otis really was even to my standards, and I'm pretty hard on myself, that was honestly the best face jug I've ever made in my life to this point. I really committed myself to making a face jug that had a lot of expression, that was really happy. I've made some really nice face jugs, I think, in the past, but that one just kind of took it to another level, and it really has changed my concept and my idea of what I want to make when I make face jugs. Not that I won't make any of the fun, cartoonish looking ones anymore, but that one, if I want to go to the next level and make a face jug that just really has a lot of those borderline realistic look and a lot of expression to the face, that one honestly was it. Before I even had it up for sale anywhere in my shop or on Etsy or anywhere, I got a message on Facebook from somebody who bought some pottery last year from me, and they said, "Is Otis for sale?" And I said, "Yes, he is." And they said, "Well, how much?" and so on and so forth. And it had to get shipped to California if I sold it to them. And so we settled on a price. It sat here for probably at least a month before I got around to shipping it because I had to fire my wood kiln, clean the pots, sell the pots, all that, do my Etsy sale, and then finally I was like, hey, it's finally ready, I can ship it. I was so scared about shipping Otis to California because if you saw my recent post about boxes and shipping, and yeah, that one box, it wasn't the one that Otis was in, thankfully, but that one box got totally crushed. Thankfully, the pots inside survived. But anyway, I did have to ship Otis to California. He arrived safely, so there's number one. That's an amazing hallelujah moment. But yesterday, in the middle of the day, I got a phone call on my phone. I don't recognize the number, but it's from California. I answer it. Here's a little bit more backstory. Sorry. The guy who wanted Otis, his wife, when she bought pots last year, she told me that her husband watches all of my YouTube videos, and then she said, well, he doesn't really watch them because he's legally blind. He can see, I guess, a little bit, but mostly he can't see. And he listens to my videos. And when I guess, when he heard about Otis and then she described it to him, he wanted it. And so she's the one who bought it, or he bought it, however the couple bought it. Anyway, so he's legally blind. I've never talked to him. I've talked to her a couple times on the phone to process payments for pottery that she's purchased. And so I had already done that with her, shipped Otis out there. He made it safely. I get the phone call yesterday. He says, hey, this is Mike. Won't tell you his last name. I'm the one who just bought Otis, and I just want to tell you thank you. He arrived safely. It's an amazing face jug. And then he proceeded to tell me a little bit more about my YouTube channel and what it means to him. And I know I've shared this with you before when I went to Florida and delivered that large piece to Florida. Met the guy who had ALS. You know, that was a huge story as well. But this was another moment to me that just made me realize, and I didn't want to share it with you to glorify my channel or what I do, but I wanted to share it with you to inspire you, because I think there are so many times that we're doing our normal everyday things, and as long as we're doing them to the best of our ability, or at least, trying, because none of us can do that every day, I think we can inspire and impact other people in ways that we will just never understand and never know unless they take time to tell us. So two things I want to share about this. Number one is that you doing what you do to the best of your ability will impact people in a positive way, and it will help them. I promise you that. It's happened enough times in my life that people have told me about it, that I realize that, and I believe that, and I know that. The other thing is that if you are impacted by somebody else, I want to encourage you to let them know, because you know what? I had a rough time earlier this year, and Mike knew that. He even mentioned that to me on the phone call, and he said, listen, I know you've had a rough year, and he said, I know some things were challenging. He said, but I also know from listening to you on your YouTube channel, watching all of your videos or listening to all of your videos, that you are the kind of person that just doesn't quit, and you expect so much of yourself, and you have really high standards, and I just know that that's probably why it bothered you. And of course, we talked a little bit more in detail about the things that happened to me. I'm feeling much better now, as I told you all, but it was so uplifting to me to hear from Mike, to hear a little bit of his story and his background of what he did in his life, and some lessons he learned, and how he became blind, and all this. And to realize that we do have common ground. Him and I have never met the man, don't know him from anybody. He knows me way more than I know him, but it was really cool just to hear his story, and then just allow him to encourage me, and to realize that, you know what, when I sit here and I make videos, sometimes I just think, man, that was kind of a blah video, or just a whatever. But to somebody like Mike, that could be the very video that just helps inspire him to go out and make, because he actually makes pottery. He makes and sells planters. He got into succulents, he told me, and so his wife helps him make and sell these planters. And it's just a really cool story that I was able to be a part of, because he's been inspired by my videos and my stories. And he said, you don't realize it, but the way you explain what you do when you're making pottery really helps me, because I can't see what you're doing. But your words, he said, are very detailed and very helpful with me, because I see with my hands when I'm throwing. And he said, the things that you've said have really helped me. And so he said, also the other things that you share, like what I'm sharing right now about life, and about how to approach life, and how to be thankful and appreciative, those things really matter to him, and I think they matter to most of us. And I think those are the things that right now in the world that we live in can go a really long way. I don't care what your background is. I don't care where you come from, rich, poor, what country you're in, what race you are, what religion you are. If we can be nice, if we can have character and integrity, and if we can be honest and kind to one another, then we'll make this world a better place. And you guys know that I'm all about that. And so I'm not going to get too much into detail about that, but you guys all know the world we're living right now, and it is almost like a powder keg that we're all sitting on. But you know how we can diffuse that powder keg is to be nice to one another, that to be inspired by people that we're around, and then when we are inspired by them, to let them know how much they mean to us, and to thank them for their inspiration, because I tell you what, it meant a whole heck of a lot to me for Mike to call me, and it was really cool. And so that's it. I wanted to share that with you guys, because I thought that would be encouragement to you. It was encouragement to me. So now let's get to plates, okay? As promised, we're finally talking about plates, okay? These two plates here are made the way my first video about throwing plates was, how they were made in that video is how I made these two right here. As many of you have asked, I don't trim the bottom of my plates. These dried on the bat, then we're just, like I said, just trim around the edge, sign the bottom, fire them, sand them when they come out of the kiln. You guys have probably seen that, or most of you know that. The new design of plates, these are salad plates, but this is the new design of plate that I'm making, and as you can see, it's a lower profile, has a little bit of a foot there, kind of like that rolled foot that I make on a lot of my work. And then the inside has less of a lip here, and it also rolls up to that lip that's flat there. One of the main things that I didn't like about this style of plate is, number one, the weight of them. They were very heavy. Number two was how they stacked. The second design I made, or the second video I made of the plate, this design, they stack a little bit better, but they still don't stack as good as the new ones I'm making. Okay, I just measured these two here, and they stand 2 inches tall, so that's about 1 inch per plate. The more you stack them, and also with the width of these, they don't fit in your dishwasher rack very well. I've washed these in dishwashers several times, and they just don't fit in there very well. So the new plate design, I wanted to make a little bit thinner plate, a little bit lighter plate, but then I also wanted it to be a lower profile. And I was also trying to match the design of the bowls and stuff that I was making at the time which have this little bit of a flat lip at the top rim of the bowl. So I thought, you know what if I make a plate that's a little bit more shallow, has that flat rim, but then if I can figure out a way to make the plates so that they stack well and they're really short. I just measured this one as well. This one is only 1 3/8 for 2 salad plates. Okay, so I know these are salad and these are dinner plates, but even if I got 2 dinner plates in here, and of course these are not even glaze fired yet, so technically they'll be a little bit shorter even when they're finished. But to be able to make these plates, and they fit in the dishwasher rack very easily, very well. Like I said, they're a little bit lighter. I think these I made out of like 3 pounds. My new dinner plates are the same size as this as far as width, and they only weigh 2.5 pounds of wet clay. These are 1.5 pounds of wet clay for my salad plates. But like I said, just wanted to show you real quick the difference in the 2 designs, and then we're going to throw a couple of these salad plates here because I've got an order for a local tea shop and bakery where they're ordering some teacups, salad plates to serve food on, and things like that. So now we're going to go to the wheel and throw a few of these plates. I already have my gauge set here. I've made a couple plates already. I got all my clay balls not necessarily weighed out, but they're all pugged with this size die, which is a 3-inch die. And I cut them all 3 inches long, which is 1.5 pounds. One of the huge advantages to having a pug mill is I don't have to weigh every single clay ball. I just pug them out with a certain size die, cut them all the same length, and they're just by default they're all the same weight, and you just have to figure out what length is what weight and then cut them all that length. So these plates are pretty easy for me to make now. I had some challenges when I first started making them, getting the shallowness that I liked. It's a bit tricky, and also even as these several times when I make these, as they start to dry, they kind of raise up and then they go back down. So sometimes I come in the next day after making a few of them, and I'm like, oh crap, I made those wrong, and then I have to remember, no, they're just raising up and they're going to go back down. They'll go back down a little bit as they dry, and then a little bit as they bisque, and then as they're glaze fired, they're actually going to lay down a little bit more, and they'll end up looking how I threw them by the time they're done with the glaze fire. But I'm just going to throw a couple of these, and then we'll switch the angle, and we'll talk in some detail about what I'm doing to make these. Like I said, I've got my gauge set there already, and I don't have to make them perfect out to the gauge, but I'm going to try to get close so they can all stack pretty well inside each other. But I try to make that bottom where that little foot is fairly narrow, so that's mainly what allows them to stack inside of each other so well, is because that foot is small enough that it fits down in the plate below it. Of course, these don't have that real sharp defined opening on the inside, which also helps them stack inside of each other very well. The other ones have that really sharp line where kind of like the bottom of the plate is, and then where the sidewall starts, and then the lip that kind of makes the plate above it has to sit down in that, and if it doesn't sit down in that, then it sits up much higher while they're being stacked. Alright, now we'll switch to another angle and we'll go into a little bit more detailed explanation. Alright, with these plates I start out of course by like any other piece, just centering, and then to open these plates I just use my thumb on my left hand, go down in the center and then flatten out. Use my other hand to kind of even out the rim there, or the edge of where I'm flattening. With the larger ones I can't remember, but I think I probably use the heel of my hand because it's a much larger area. These, it's just a little quicker to use my thumb. When I go to pull up the side of these, I've pulled it out, but I've left the outside rim here a little bit thicker. Probably the outside inch is a little bit thicker than the rest of it. And then I'm going to just push in with my rib up under the rim and lift that up. And then I'm going to kind of pinch together between the rib and my hand on the inside to kind of pull that a little bit. And now what I have to do is I have to make that foot before I make the rest of the rim, because I won't be able to get back under there and make that foot. So what I do is I take the other end of my rib, stick it under there, and kind of like with my other pots, I kind of push up in and kind of let some of that clay stick out. Add a little bit of water there and just kind of round that between the rib and my middle finger that's sticking in behind the rib. It's going in here just like that. My rib's in front of it, pushing up, and then my middle finger's pushing the clay back down, just kind of compressing that and rounding off that little foot there on the inside or on the bottom. Now what I do is I usually clean the water off that with my sponge, because I won't be able to get back up under there and do that either. Now I just add a little bit of water to the lip there, and then I'm going to lay this over, just kind of looking at my gauge there to get it about where I want it, and then I'm going to work on rounding this on the inside here with my hand, my fingers. And then I usually take my thumb again just to make sure I got a nice smooth even bottom. I just kind of take my thumb and do that again over the bottom to make sure that's nice and flat and even. And there we go. Well, there you have it. I guess we'll call that plates version 3, or just another plate design. But as always, I hope this video helped you. I hope my videos inspire you, and I hope you learned something. Take it and use it, and make whatever you do better. And if you didn't take the time to watch the inspirational story at the beginning and you just skip forward for the plates, I understand, but I also encourage you to go back and watch that, because it's a pretty cool story, and we can always all use a little encouragement, and we can all be prodded to be encouraging to others at times. It's definitely helpful, so I encourage you to go watch that. Thank you as always for your support on YouTube, on Etsy, on Patreon. All of you patrons out there, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for your support, and all those links are in the description. Check me out, follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, and I think that's all my social media. And I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.